So while some of this Bangladesh macro may be familiar to those who are familiar with Bangladesh, I'd like to take this opportunity for us to set the stage for some of our new foreign guests and our prospective investors in Bangladesh. So as you can see, remittances are a big driver of Bangladesh's growth and a large contributor to the foreign exchange reserves of the country. Additionally, as you can see, and as mentioned and stated by Chairman of Startup Bangladesh, Bangladesh is on track to become a $1 trillion GDP with significant GDP growth rates over the past decade, with anticipations for a very positive trajectory over the next several years. So Bangladesh's macro remains compelling, there's no doubt about that. Our trajectory continues to be attractive and remittances continue to be robust. We have one of the youngest median populations across the world, with 42% of the population under the age of 25 and 63% under the age of 35. This is important for us within the startup ecosystem because this is a digitally engaged, mobile first, or perhaps mobile only, perhaps more accurately, mobile only population or generation. And I think this gives us a very unique opportunity for us to capitalize on that with new technologies and new solutions to solve problems through digital and technological means, and startups are able to fill that vacuum and fill that opportunity set. Internet penetration is certainly a very big proponent or component of digital engagement within any given country. Internet penetration in Bangladesh is increasing. However, as you can see on the right, Bangladesh's mobile data as a percentage of monthly per capita income still remains substantially higher than its peers. And we are very confident and we believe that the government is taking the right steps to reduce mobile internet prices. And as internet prices come down, as handset prices come down, we think that this also represents a very unique opportunity for more business to be transacted online. As people get more and more comfortable with the internet, as they seek to finding solutions for their problems using the internet, with affordable internet, this too represents a very unique opportunity for startups and for technologically enabled businesses alike. So as you can also see that Bangladesh's per capita, startup investment per capita, it remains extremely low as compared to its peers. But we believe that's changing. We believe that we're at the inflection point of a very unique opportunity for us to attract more attention, not just from the startups themselves that are doing very unique and interesting things, but also through the policy changes and reforms that we're seeing that are supporting the growth of the internet ecosystem, if you will. And we believe that as we see internet prices come down, as we start to see more digital engagement, that the startup investment, obviously per capita, shall rise substantially as a result of that. So Bangladesh, if you look at it from a more granular perspective in terms of what the startup ecosystem has done so far, we've raised about $1 billion, primarily from international sources. We've created 1.5 million jobs across 15 sectors, and we've got 300 investors invested in 150 plus startups. But as the ICT Secretary and Startup Bangladesh Chairman recently said, we have over 1,200 startups that are active in our ecosystem today. This is almost a 10x figure from what it was a decade ago. This is a quick picture of the investing landscape. So you can see that most of the money that's come in has come in through venture capital, and these are some notable venture capitalists or venture capital firms that have already invested in Bangladesh, and we expect that this list will grow considerably through the raising of awareness of the investment opportunities in Bangladesh from things like Startup Connect and the Bangladesh Investment Summit. And the startups themselves, I think, are working very hard to attract foreign capital by promoting themselves to a much wider audience. Now, generally, a big question for us, or a big issue for us within the startup ecosystem for Bangladesh, has been a nomenclature problem. So Bangladesh does not necessarily fit within the definitions of MENA, they don't fit within ASEAN, we fit within this silo called the Indian subcontinent. And so we've really, we've really had to sell ourselves, and I think we've done an incredible job of doing so, but I believe that we're at the cusp of an inflection point of change where Bangladesh becomes a much stronger mandate of many investment firms that have not yet looked at Bangladesh. At the end of the day, we are the 8th largest population in the world. We have 170 million plus people with an extremely young, digitally engaged population. I am very confident that this map in front of you will change dramatically in the next 5 years. Bangladesh will attract significant investment, not just in venture capital, of course, but in overall FDI. But specifically for the purpose of this conversation, I really do believe that this landscape will change dramatically as more and more people who have been perhaps sitting on the sidelines not just see the opportunity, but also see the policy support and the conviction and the confidence that this government is instilling in the startup ecosystem and to investors who are looking to invest in this ecosystem. So this is the ICT Master Plan for the ICT Master Plan 2030, and this outlines some of the changes or some of the visions that the government, of the ICT Ministry has towards promoting the growth of the ICT industry in Bangladesh. Obviously, startups play a role in that, and obviously startups are beneficiaries of this in many ways, in the sense that, as the government promotes skills development, this also leads to a massive opportunity for startups to benefit from high quality digital skills in terms of software engineers, developers, content creators, and specialists that perhaps did not exist today, or perhaps we did not have a sufficient enough supply of top quality. And so as a part of the ICT Ministry's roadmap, a lot of these master plan visions are very much to the specific and direct benefit of startups, not just from where they could benefit from its services, but also as opportunities where they could build businesses around providing solutions, perhaps to government, but also to private industry or to citizens or to consumers on the basis of some of these more robustly or easily available technological solutions. So these are some of the programs that the ICT Ministry has been focusing on in terms of promoting opportunity sets for creation of entrepreneurship in terms of startups and SMEs, through the training and through the development of young entrepreneurs and I guess students to be better prepared to set up their own businesses. So for example, the Bangladesh High Tech Park Authority is an example which obviously aims to create an investor-friendly landscape for startups and technological businesses alike. IDEA project is one that I think is very, very well worth mentioning. It currently, in its current shape and form, in its truest form, is meant to be an ideal opportunity for lead gen for organizations like Startup Bangladesh and other venture capital, where it provides early grants and support to budding or aspiring entrepreneurs who may have their respective tech or SME or startup businesses, which could then scale into larger opportunity sets and then receive startup funding from venture capital or privately or organizations such as Startup Bangladesh. So Startup Bangladesh has been working through the very kind assistance and support of JICA to do the feasibility study on a fund of funds model, and we're pleased to say that significant progress has been made in that regard. So we believe that that by launching this fund of funds model, it provides an opportunity for attracting international venture capital firms who operate at world-class standards or at global standards of venture capital to not just participate in the Bangladesh investment ecosystem, but to use that as an opportunity set for them to promote Bangladeshi startups to their LPs, to their investors who may not necessarily have had Bangladesh as a part of their mandate. And so we really do believe that the fund-to-funds model has a much wider benefit approach than just providing capital to these venture capitalists. We believe that this can actually bring about a network effect that allows for the mobilization of significantly higher amounts of capital because of the international nature of some of these venture capitalists that we ideally believe would participate in the fund-to-funds model. So we've had around 8 months of this interim government, and I think they've done an incredible job of providing certain reforms, especially in the finance and banking sector, and these outline some of the key macro reforms and how those would and how they do currently benefit the startup ecosystem. The two that I would like to specifically draw attention to are the ones at the bottom that primarily speak to the recent announcement by Bangladesh Bank, and we are very grateful to the central bank governor and his colleagues for recently issuing a circular that not just permits for overseas investment by startups, but more importantly allows for share swaps. And this gives us the opportunity set for us to consolidate cap tables for our investments and to provide a much more global and streamlined investment ecosystem that is on par with our respective peers. This allows us to mitigate a lot of questions and challenges that we've had to face with international VCs in terms of maintaining two different levels of cap tables. And this allows us not just to motivate our founders to own different forms of equity, but also allows us to essentially promote ourselves to a different level of venture capitalists that may not have necessarily considered investing because of some of these challenges. So we are very grateful to the central bank for these recent changes. Thank you. So we're back to me. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk a little bit about my journey in terms of the experiences that I've had within the startup ecosystem as one of the earliest advocates and angel investors. So as I said, I moved to Bangladesh in 2006, and I've been in Bangladesh for about 18 years. I've made about 60 plus investments in startups globally and 17 investments in Bangladesh to date. And so these are some of the portfolio names that I've invested in amongst others. But the reason why I bring up some of these names are that the startup ecosystem in Bangladesh has certainly had its fair share of ups and downs, just as any ecosystem does, especially ones that are in their nascent stages. So if you look at a business like ShopUp, which has gone on to raise significant amounts of capital and could be a very important, I guess, a very important sense of pride for us in the Bangladesh startup ecosystem. They have iterated their business model 4 times before stumbling on where they are today. And so this is no different than in a startup in Silicon Valley or in London or in New York. Startups require iteration. We require dynamic founders who understand the business models and understand when they have to change. And so we've had obviously our ups and downs in the ecosystem. We've had challenges with funding. But another example I wanted to point out is our experience with Pathao. So we were one of the first investors in Pathao in 2016, I believe. And we had an opportunity to take an exit within 24 months of our investment. So we essentially turned our $300,000 into $7 million within 24 months. Now, we didn't do that because we didn't believe in the ecosystem. We did that because it sent a very important signal to our LPs, to our investors, that there are exit pathways in Bangladesh, that Bangladesh is investable, that Bangladesh is an opportunity set, that it's not that you can invest, but you can also find ways to exit. Obviously, as you may appreciate, exits are just as important as investments to financial investors. So by that token, by us doing a proof of concept, it really did instill some confidence in investors that yes, there are opportunities for us to exit. And I really do believe that there are significant opportunities as we work with the regulators to see how we can list Bangladeshi startups that may experience significant growth, and work with BSAC and with the finance ministry on how we can promote a wider class of high quality startups to list in the coming days. The one thing I want to end on in my keynote is that as I'm born and raised in Canada, I've been very privileged to have a very privileged life. I am in Bangladesh because I want to be. I am here because I believe it is the most exciting, not one of the most exciting opportunity set in the world today. And I think amongst that opportunity set, the startup ecosystem represents a really unique opportunity. It's a very nascent, very early stages opportunity set that I would really urge international investors to explore and consider as we start to attract more capital, as our population starts to become more digitally engaged, as this government works towards reforms that would reduce internet prices and increase digital engagement. There's no doubt that the Bangladeshi internet ecosystem will experience significant growth in the coming days. And I want to use this opportunity to invite you all to join us on this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Tanvir Ali, for that insightful and thought-provoking keynote. Your emphasis on creating pathways for scalable innovation and cross-border investment aligns perfectly with our national priorities and vision. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have something very special. We are very excited to present a video message from Mr. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, a global icon in entrepreneurship and venture capital. Let's hear his message for Bangladesh's innovators and entrepreneurs.
Hi, I'm Reid Hoffman, the co-founding CEO of LinkedIn, founding board and team member of PayPal, first investor in Airbnb, OpenAI, Meta, Zynga, and others, and a recent co-founder of Inflection AI, one of the large-scale chatbots, and Manas AI, trying to cure cancer with AI-accelerated drug discovery. I'm an active investor at Greylock Partners, and I have invested in Bangladeshi entrepreneurs. And so I'm delighted, if only being there virtually, to be there with you at the Bangladesh Investment Summit of 2025. And one of the things I've learned as an entrepreneur and as a VC is you want to seize the moment on platform changes. You want to see challenges and convert them into opportunities. And part of what is there in front of you with this amazing workforce in Bangladesh, who is, very entrepreneurial, driven, grit, intelligent, is to seize this chance to become essentially an AI nation, an AI workforce, to have AI help elevate the talent in learning new skills and capabilities for new kinds of companies and projects, but also to make that into a kind of the leading force in making companies that have regional and global impact. And it will be deploying such things as Iconic University and other kinds of first of its sort, creating that amplification of human talent, that where AI is amplification intelligence, and seizing this moment and this kind of platform change to make an opportunity and to make your own opportunity. So I cannot wait to see what comes out of this investment summit.
Now that was very inspiring to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, now it is my pleasure to introduce the inaugural plenary panel titled Empowering Innovation, Connecting Opportunities. This discussion will focus on the powerful intersection of policy, capital, and innovation in shaping the future of our startup ecosystem. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists on the stage. Mr. Chaudhry Ashik Mahmood bin Harun, Executive Chairman, BIDA. Mr. Faiz Ahmed Tayyib, Special Assistant to the Honorable Chief Advisor, ICT Division. Dr. Ahsan H. Mansoor, Governor, Bangladesh Bank. Mr. Sheesh Haider Chaudhry, NDC Secretary, ICT Division and Chairman, Startup Bangladesh Limited. This panel will be moderated by the dynamic and visionary Ms. Sadia Haq, CEO of ShareTrip. A big round of applause for all of them, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello and very good morning to all of you. I think the guests who are sitting here with us today, the round of applause was not enough and it does not do justice. Can we have another big round of applause? Thank you so much, everyone. A very good morning and welcome to the Startup Connect, which is a flagship segment of the Bangladesh Investment Summit 2025. I am Sadia Haq. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ShareTrip, which is a travel tech and lifestyle brand with a homegrown wallet called STPay. And we have been operating in the Bangladeshi startup ecosystem since 2019. So I have been chosen to be the best fit to ask all the right questions to these guests. And it gives me immense pleasure to host today's opening discussion on empowering innovation and connecting opportunities. So although all the guests here have been called upon, but I would still love to have the honor of introducing them again. So first we have with us Chaudhry Ashik Mohammed bin Harun, Executive Chairman, BIDA and BEZA. We have Faiz Ahmed Tayyib, Special Assistant to Honorable Chief Advisor, ICT Division. We have Dr. Ahsan H. Mansoor, Governor to Bangladesh Bank. And lastly, Sheesh Haider Sir, Chaudhry NDC, Secretary to the ICT Division. So when their names are spoken of, I don't think I need to give any further introduction or details of what they do and how they act and what they're responsible for. And they have been very popular faces all through for the last couple of months. And we are very grateful for all the work that you're doing. So today's panel discussion is on a very major topic, that is empowering innovation and connecting opportunities. And before we go deep dive into the conversations, I would like to give some perspective over what the topic is all about and what we are here to learn from these esteemed guests. So as we heard from Tanvir, startups in Bangladesh are actually a very booming industry, right? They're still at a nascent stage, but they're growing up at a very high potential. And the contribution these startups have in the economy is massive in terms of economic development, employment generation, bringing technology-based products, services into the lives and lifestyles of people, digitizing the economy and making it more standard and more approachable to the global standards. So all these things are actually very noteworthy, and we are all aware of these facts. কে জানি আমাকে একটা বকা দিল, আমি বুঝলাম না। But coming back to the story, this is not the end of the story, so there's more to it. So being in the startup ecosystem, and as we, from my own personal experience as well, I see that there is a much more stronger potential for the startups to grow in Bangladesh. Although there are some limitations and restrictions, but the potential to grow is huge and immense. And by encouraging and nourishing the startup ecosystem, the effect and the impact that will happen in the long run is that we will not only have a very strong startup ground in Bangladesh, which will be highly appreciated and acknowledged, but we will also be able to play a very leveraged ground in the global landscape as well. So the objective of today's panel is to identify from all of you what your thoughts, your plans, your visions, the things that you understand about the startup ecosystem, and how we can actually flourish the startup ecosystem of Bangladesh to a much more larger landscape altogether. So I'm sure that everyone is more interested to hear from you than listen to my discussions or my topic. So I think I'll start my first question with you, Ashik, if it's okay. So start with, Bangladesh has no shortage of entrepreneurial talent, but foreign VC funding still lags behind. What could BIDA do to help change the narrative, including streamlining the investment process and or advocating for regulatory certainty, which could lead to higher international VC investment into the local startups? It's a big question, but take your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Look, so I as part of my introduction, I come from private sector. I've just joined the government about 6 months ago, and I was actually in investment banking, which is the other spectrum of startup ecosystem. So my understanding on startup is not necessarily as deep as yours or majority of the crowd who's sitting here. We are going through a very transformational time. As you all know, that the country has gone through a change, and we do have this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to potentially change a lot of things that were just given for our ecosystem. Let's take examples like, very trivial examples, like trade license, which apparently is a very big challenge for young businesses to start doing business in Bangladesh. The questions that we really need to ask is not necessarily how we streamline the trade license process, but start from, do we even need a trade license? And if we do need a trade license, is it like a birth certificate that we give to a company only once in their lifetime and not have them go back to the city corporation every year to renew the trade license? I'm giving you a very, very trivial example, but that is how the baseline currently is. That is how low and deep we need to go into to ensure that we create an ecosystem that is much easier for businesses to operate. So BIDA's role generally, I see this year, is primarily to reform and fix the investment climate and fix these many problems that a startup or an ecosystem player has in starting a business and then potentially raising funding from the global markets. The other piece, which is part of what we're doing today with the help of ICT Ministry and Startup Bangladesh Limited, is potentially bringing in the investors in this country. A lot of times from my previous experience, what I've seen is once someone lands in Bangladesh physically and interacts with the community, interacts with the startups, interacts with our youth, the perception they had from desktop research dramatically changes. And that's what we need to probably continue to focus on as investment promotion agency for the government, is how do we create that bridge between the assets we have in country and the potential liquidity that's available globally. So that's the role I see BIDA taking this year and another next 12 to 18 months.
I can give you another set of lists which BIDA can do for us. Faiz bhai, I think I will move on to you now. You have been talking a lot about data protection, personal data, etc. So my question is, personal data, we all know that it's an extremely important topic. It's important for businesses, it's important for startups, it is also important as a citizen of a nation. So what steps is the ICT Ministry taking in regards to personal data protection or data protection overall?
Yeah. As you rightly mentioned, that Personal Data Protection Act is very important, and the government has a serious focus on it. So we have been working on the draft version of the Personal Data Protection Act. There were a lot of concerns from the business community, from local and across the border. So we have taken all those concerns into account, and at this moment we are consulting with the business community. It will follow by consultation with local business engagement, local business bodies, BASIS, human rights organizations, and also civil society. So I believe by the end of April, we will be in a shape to offer more public consultation, and by the end of May, we will be able to gadget the Personal Data Protection Act.
Thank you, Faiz Bhai. It is actually a very good initiative, and the claps are a proof of that. It was a well required activity.
We have a
I would
very
say.
deep focus to make it, to produce it into life.
And we sincerely hope that it's going to be in favor of all the citizens and the communities as a whole.
So we'll be offering a lot of data localization flexibility to the investors and to the local business community. So it will be kind of a very modern law that offers flexibility to our businessmen and especially the startups.
Thank you. Shishaida sir, I think I will move on to you now. So we have been part of the ICT division, and we have seen how the startups are very closely working with the ICT division. So I think one of the biggest tasks of yours is to assist and nurture the startups here. So my question to you would be, what key initiatives has the ICT division implemented to promote innovation among startups in Bangladesh? And how do those initiatives specifically target the tech ecosystem? Because there is a very clear basic difference in opinion in understanding about whether startups should be tech focused or not. So we want you to focus on the tech side of the startups. And another add-on question is, what investments are being made to ensure startups have reliable access to the internet and other necessary technologies? So we are actually tagging internet as also a technology which is very surprising at this moment in this world.
No, I can start with the question number 3, that we are not only considering the reducing the internet price only, but we are also trying to make sure the access to the internet. So to come back to the question number 1, ICT division is working with 21 projects, and we have got 2 companies, and SBL is one of the companies working specifically. It's like a venture capital, specifically with the startups of this country in the ecosystem. Out of these 21 projects, 3 projects are specifically working for the startups. IDEA, a project under the Bangladesh Computer Council. They work with the pre-seed and seed stages of the startups. Then we have got the DEEP project under the High Tech Park Authority, also work for the startup and supported by the World Bank. And we have got the company. And in case of AGE project, we are also having some activities concerning the startups of the country. So while talking about the innovation, you see, sometimes we call that, yes, we will be growing vertically. But while we talk about the startups, we understand this vertical growth should not be the idea, it should be the horizontal growth. Vertical growth will only combine on one individual entity or one company. But when you talk about in this ecosystem, when you talk about the growth, horizontal growth, then many of them will move together. So these activities, in one hand, will go for the innovation. Then the other one is the capacity building, because we are in dot of the capacity building. So whoever comes forward, we nurture them out of these 3 different activities and 3 different projects of the ICT division. So by virtue of the very mandate given to the ICT division, so startup ecosystem development is one of the primary concern, just because of the fact that, yes, we are working with the youths of the country, so they will be trained, they will be employable, and at one point of time, they will be entrepreneurs, so that they are not only the entity, but also they are working more with the employment generation.
So, sir, if I've understood correctly, and I think this is very important for all the young entrepreneurs and startups who are here attending the session and the summit today, is the ICT division is playing a pivotal role in segmenting by different kind of models, ideation, nurturing, grooming, and then grant and funds, right? So based on your capability and capacity, you go into the respected parts. Thank you so much, sir. Mansur, sir, now I will be moving on to you. we have been bugging from the startup ecosystem Bangladesh Bank very significantly, and we have seen that how progressive Bangladesh Bank has been in response to the startups overall in identifying the challenges and how to mitigate those. So my question to you would be, what role can Bangladesh Bank play in encouraging more government-backed or blended finance or equity for high potential startups? Because usually we talk about early stage startups, but for those startups that have high potential to grow and scale, how would Bangladesh Bank look into it? Another question I would like to tag is, what specific funding mechanisms or initiatives has Bangladesh Bank introduced to help startups secure the necessary resources for growth, development, research? It can be in terms of any financing mechanism, by equity, loan, etc. So, sir, if you could enlighten us.
Thank you. At the outset, let me just thank the organizers and the participants, particularly. It's an excellent gathering of very young people. And there's a lot of enthusiasm that I can see in this room and outside as well. So let me first welcome you all. Regarding the startup things is that this is one area, I think Bangladesh Bank, since I joined the Bangladesh Bank, we have been thinking about how to extend our support to this group of innovative minds so that they can flourish. We need to create that environment. We need to make Bangladesh attractive for them to innovate. Not to leave the country, not to keep their earnings outside, bring it home, grow it at home, and so on. So we are basically, we had a very good session at BIDA a couple of months ago. And following up on that, we have decided that we'll be setting up a fund of about 800-900 crore from contributions from commercial banks, basically. And they will be the owner, equity holders of that fund. And the money would be only used for equity investment in promising startup companies. So that's one. I wished it was already in place, but because of two things, I was outside the country to London for more than a week, and then the Eid holidays and all that. So we lost about a month. So it should be ready within a week or so. We should be able to issue that circular. Along with that,
I think I would like to interrupt you. I think it should be ready in a month or so. A big round of applause for that, please.
thank you. We are also going to contribute, I don't know the exact amount, maybe for 500 crore or something like that, to add to that as co-financing for on-lending, so that there will be an equity component, there will be lending component as well, which whoever wish to access the lending component as complementary to that. So this is the starting point for the startups. This is not the end point. We want to grow this fund along with the growth of the startup sector itself. So our commitment is there. Secondly, we are also trying to, startup is not by just take and so on. It is, we believe in financial inclusion in general. Everybody has the right to be included in the financial sector as we develop. But Bangladesh is still lagging in terms of financial inclusion. So we have undertaken a massive study on where the funds are going, Upojela by Upojela, since 1972, with support from IGC, International Growth Center. The Bangladesh Bank has taken that initiative. The results will be out very soon. We will know exactly how to target the underprivileged locations and go after those communities to serve them better. Because those kinds of spatial mapping, that means geographical location-based distribution of lending, we didn't have that data. We weren't going to get that. We can also link it with that startup things, because we don't want With the spread of internet and the communications as they are now, there is no need that our innovators and our participants in the global outsourcing business should be in Dhaka or should be in Chittagong and so on. They could be anywhere in Bangladesh, any corner of Bangladesh. Our financial sector needs to reach out to them. Our technology needs to reach out to them. Our affordability of technology must be commensurate with their income so that they can afford it. So all those things must go hand in hand to make this industry successful. We hope we're going to remain open to suggestions from the startup community. The community must vent out their demands, frustrations as well. So the policymakers can hear it and react to it in appropriate time. We are open for your suggestions, and our department will always be, from Bangladesh Bank side, we would like to accommodate your concerns as fast and as appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you have made this panel already a successful one with all these big announcements. And this is what was actually needed for the startup ecosystem, because a very significant part for startups to grow and to be empowered is the access to finance, which is a bit challenging in the local landscape, even if you're going for global investments and global funding. So this would be a very strong, it will strengthen our backbone and help us to grow faster and stronger in the future as well. Ashik, I think I will be moving on to you now. So we have seen the number of foreign delegations and foreign investors who have been coming to the Startup Connect, to the Investment Summit, and we have heard very good reviews of how they're looking into Bangladesh and what are the perspectives that they're working on right now, or the main focus or priority. So when we talk about startups, we see that there's still a very strong gap between the early stage startups or even startups at different stages in order to reach the global audience. So do you think BIDA would be able to play a critical role in reaching out to the global audience? And is there any way, or does BIDA have that mandate to work with different kind of incubators, accelerators, universities, institutions, even research and development sites in order to strengthen this ecosystem? So what would be your take on this?
Well, I think it should be a question from me to you, not so from BIDA to the startup community, how we can help. So one of my biggest realizations in doing this government job for a while is we probably need to listen more as government. I genuinely think the startup community is far more smarter than most of the average government official, including myself. And therefore, how to market startup is not an answer that I should be giving you, but you should be telling us. And you should be also telling us how you would like us to partner with you in spreading the news across the world. And we should just be following that narrative. So whether it's participating or partnering with you in global programs, whether it's looking at a startup's journey from start to finish and trying to figure out where government can intervene and support or use or become the mic for you to spread the message, that's something that we would actually like to hear from you. I genuinely feel that this whole attitude of prescribing what needs to be done in startup community needs to be reversed completely. So we are here for that. I think you've just heard from the same message, right? We are actually here to listen to you and listen from you. What do you think needs to be done? We've talked about many a times the whole idea of repatriation. Bangladesh is the best example of Hotel California, where you can push money in and it's very hard to take it out. And that itself is one of the biggest challenges for an investor at any point in time. I just don't think that's something that we can hold on to. We have to come up with a better solution to that. So there are many things that we could potentially do to help the startup community to spread the message, but my genuine feeling is that that needs to be done in collaboration with startup community and based on the suggestions and ideas that come up from startup community. The government should always there be to help. The government does have limited resource. The government does have limited bandwidth, and therefore it is for us the duty of government is genuinely to remove the hurdles for startup community so that they can excel, and we'll just be a partner to that excel journey.
Well, I think this was this kind of statements coming from regulatory bodies and authorities that they're eager to hear, they're eager to listen, and then act on it. This is one of the biggest changes that I think I have seen in my lifetime here in Bangladesh. And I would sincerely express my gratitude to all of you for being such frank and transparent in that openness, so that we are being able to share our challenges and get the best possible outcome. And I'll hold you to it and make sure that you do get all those lists and recommendations. Faiz Bhai, now the, I think, $1 million question, which has been all around the country for quite some time, is reduced internet prices, because startups are an asset that cannot function without internet. That we cannot digitize our country, we cannot digitize our economy if we don't have the right access to internet. So we all believe that internet is actually the biggest driver for all this adoption to take place and for this modernization to take place. But how is the government looking into it in terms of internet pricing, and what steps is the government taking in order to reduce internet prices? If we have seen some notices and circulars already that some steps have been taken. If you can give us some background of how those things were done, or if there are any further policies that might be coming into light.
So thank you for asking this. Actually, every second or every third question I am being asked from the public sphere is about internet price reduction. So yes, we are working on it, and we have 4 parallel streams. So very first step we have taken that we try to reduce the internet price from gateway level. So from international gateway level, as you are aware, that Bangladesh Submarine Cable Company has reduced internet price by 10%, and at the same time they have declared a separate package for hyperscalers and bulk users also by another 10%, and they are offering a discount of 30%. So in total for the bulk users, they are offering 50% discount. So our intention is to bring down internet price as low as the regional price. So this is one thing we have already achieved. We will do further reduction, of course. And secondly, we are offering some policy support to the mobile internet providers, and at the same time to the broadband internet providers, I mean ISPs. So those policy supports are being worked with at BTRC level. So we will be offering MNOs with DWDM, and at the same time we will be securing ISP business so that they can invest more into it. And at the third level, we will be working to connectivity level. As you know that 35 to 45% of the mobile towers are fiberized. So we feel the urgency of democratizing the fiber network of the country and liberalizing it for the for taking the access to internet to the grassroots level. So this is something we are working at regulatory level, and at the same time the access to device is around 55%. So we are trying to shape the duty structure of the manufacturers or the imports so that it favors to increase access to digital device. So these things are working. We are working in parallel streams. I believe with this, we will, at one side, we will reduce the internet and at this internet price, and at the same time, we will enhance the landscape of the usability of the internet. And besides, you know that our government has a very high focus in data governance. So data governance and interoperability has already taken a good focus in the ICT Digital Transformation Master Plan and ICT Roadmap. So there, we are saying that we will be we will be making all the ministries interoperable so that people get access to the databases and services will get more access to the data so that startups and the businessmen, they get more use cases to fly.
I think you have actually hit a very interesting and a very important point, that is the interoperability. Because one of the key challenges, I don't think it was part of my question list, but I think it is something that we need to address at the earlier the better, is because startups, they come from different industries. For example, ShareTrip is coming from the travel side, Shiko is from EdTech, Argo is from health tech, etc. There's logistics, there's e-commerce. So when we see that we are coming into an ecosystem, which we are claiming it to be the startup ecosystem, we are using technology, but when there are regulatory guidelines and policies, there is no connectivity in
Population is 35 or below. So this is a very big advantage. And the another one is very strong capacity of adopting the changes on the part of the Bangladeshis. Bangladeshis are not only the resilient to the disaster situation, but also whenever we find any change, it can be adopted by the Bangladesh people immediately. So that a strong legal support is required for them. So ICT division can be a pivot, but we are also thinking of a digital authority who can be the pivot. So the respected special assistant was mentioning the personal data protection ordinance, which will be supporting the things. Now, concerning the other issues, we are having the flagship venture capital here, Startup Bangladesh Limited. National ICT policy is one issue, wherein simplifying the business registration, intellectual property rights, tax incentives, and sandbox environments are all these issues. Concerning the high-tech park and incubation centers, you see, I was mentioning a DEET project. DEET project is also working with the innovators and nurturing their activities. So this high-tech park is now working, focusing, of course, supported by the World Bank, focusing on the startups so that they will not be eliminated. They will be retaining themselves. Though, if you talk about the startups globally, you will be finding a number of startups eliminates after a certain period of time just because of very logical reasons. But in our country, these projects are trying, especially the DEET project is trying to retain them till they can sustain. Then digital entrepreneurship ecosystem strategy, this is also underway. And you asked about the AI. We are working with the national AI policy supported by the UNESCO. Those things will be very much in place within a short span of time. And afterwards, you will be finding that a number of sections will be focusing on the entrepreneurship things so that their interest is well protected. Thank you.
So this is actually very great to hear that a lot of new initiatives are actually being taken place, and as the days go, very integral part so that we can also enjoy the benefits of all these technological assets that the ICT division is working on. Monsu sir, my next question is to you. As I've mentioned before, that we have been really making
third world countries and the first world countries. The distinction between the high income countries is that for the most part, their capital accounts are liberalized. Things can move easily, and they get the benefit of that movement. Unfortunately, less developed countries like Bangladesh, we cannot liberalize our capital account fully. That's a fact of life. That's something that we have to live with. But that being said, we have to start somewhere. It doesn't mean that we are condemned in that way to stay forever. As our economy grows, as our trade relationships grows, we have to think about our investment relationship as well. The global economy is more and more driven not by trade, but by investment. The underlying investment is what drives the trade. So trade is a manifestation of the underlying investments that has already happened. So we need to be cognizant of that fact, that Bangladesh investment regime cannot be solely based on Bangladesh territorial limitations. We have to send our flagships as well as our flag carriers, whoever they may be startup, to take our Bangladeshi flag and post it in Dubai or in Singapore or in any other place that is worth of mentioning. So we feel that we need to open up. Of course, we cannot do it in one go. We have to do it in phases. So this is one modest step, I would say, where a generalized provision has been given, not the case by case, which is normally the case in Bangladesh. It's a generalized, this is the first generalized provision. Let me tell you one thing. In Bangladesh, there was a regulation that anybody who wants to send money, royalties, dividends, this, that, they have to come for approval in Bangladesh Bank. Since I joined, I removed that clause. I said, Bangladesh government has already committed that investors, foreign investors investing in Bangladesh can take their money as and when they want to do it. There is no restriction whatsoever. Why should they require approval from Bangladesh Bank in that case? That is superficial. We have a policy already in place. So our banking system, our commercial banks, AD branches, there are authorized dealers, they can follow those regulations and approve the transactions. So even big companies like Chevron and others, they were not aware of those things. They came and say, well, we are not getting a... There is no restriction. You go and ask for give your taka amount and you take your dollar out because you are a foreign investor. The policy is there. Our banks will honor and disburse the fund in line with the policy. Why should Bangladesh Bank be approving the same policy case by case by case again and again and again? That is superficial. We will make an oversight role if the banks are doing their job properly, if there is any irregularities in that, if there is any money laundering in that case. So we will look into those aspects of that, but not the flow or movement of capital, return on capital, and so on and so forth. So this is a part of the broader strategy to liberalize our economy, to liberalize the investment regime, to build confidence for our residents as well as for foreigners that Bangladesh is open not only for trade, but for investment and the return on investments and all those things that follows from that. Thank you.
So I think this is one of the biggest achievements of this summit, this announcement and this clarification, because this is what kind of creates the barrier for the investors to come and...
DI for us, so we should have one-stop service for them. The one-stop service has two elements. One is the digital piece of it and then the manual piece of it, the human interaction piece of it. A new word I have learned is called manualization. A lot of digital things halfway in becomes manual, so we need to change that back into proper digital journey. So short answer to your question is yes, but I think actually the role BIDA can play more is on the policy fixes. So what you will see incoming is one of the things that we are now looking at is digital assets. How we enable all the way running to crypto. How do we enable the startup ecosystem to be able to use those things, right? So these are sort of the fixes that we should be doing at the policy level, and then potentially handhold the initiation of startup community. So, and a lot of this will also sit on ICT ministry and the remainder ecosystem, but at the end of the day, for me, BIDA's primary role is to be the collaborator or the coordinator. Make sure that ministries across the government and the startup ecosystem, the private sector, they're all in tune and doing the exact same thing, moving in the right direction. So the force of nature takes us to the end goal. Thank you.
So harmony is actually the best answer to everything that we're talking about. Faiz bhai, I have another $1 million question.
Shut internet for a single moment. And we would like to convey the message that we are working very hard to make it to confirm it that the future government also will not be able to shut internet. And to do that, we have taken 4 steps. The very first thing, in the Cyber Safety Ordinance, we have declared and acknowledged internet as civic right. So this is the first thing we have already done, and the Cyber Safety Ordinance will be published hopefully by the end of next week. Secondly, there was an SOP to how to shut internet initiated by the previous government. We have stopped that already. And the ministry will not prepare any SOP to shut internet anymore. Thirdly, in the NGSO, non-geostationary orbit satellite guideline, we didn't keep any provision for shutting internet. And the last one is in the Telecom Act 2001, there is a provision for shutting down internet. We are working to repeal that law so that the previous next governments, including us, will not be able to shut internet legally. Thank you.
I think the appreciation from the audience.
You see, what we can see from Bikash experience is that we can do it. We have done it. So many of you can also achieve the same objectives. What are the ways to do it? The ways to do it is basically, I would say, emphasize, stay on the legal regulatory line. That means be transparent, work on the goals, not on the return immediately. For example, when I was sitting as the chair of the BRAC Bank, we had to take a very hard look at Bikash. That why this company is expanding very fast, but still we had to put about 70-80 crore taka every year as a loss. What is the end to it? The message is that the findings that we got from our review by Boston Consultancy, which we funded from the bank, not Bikash funded. We got the approval from Bangladesh Bank at that time, and we funded it. We spent more than $1 million on that consulting activity to determine that for startups, profit doesn't come in one day. You have to be patient, you have to persevere, you have to keep growing in your sales and other objectives. Money will come down the line. That's the experience with all the companies in US as well as particularly the startups which are now $1 trillion company. They had to wait 12 years, 13 years. You may have to wait longer. And that's where the venture capital comes in. That's where the investors have to come in. The investors also have to have faith and confidence in your operation. It is up to you to give that confidence. As much as Bikash gave the confidence to us, the BRAC Bank, which I was chairing at that time, that this investment is worthwhile. We have to put more money for a few more years, and then eventually it will become profitable. And it has become. It has become for the last 1.5 years now. They're giving, and the profit is now, I would say, we are expecting skyrocketing of profitability. So, thing is that you have to be patient and persevere. Investors have to be patient and persevere, have the confidence on the innovators, on the project, and results will come. Of course, I'm the father of one of those startup companies. My son had set up one startup in US, which he had. The 3 friends, they successfully navigated, and they sold it out. They made some cash out of it. And what was my lesson to him? When he came and said that I want to do this startup, I said, okay, I can give you 2 advice. If you don't want to go to Cambridge, you are going for a startup, that's fine, but please be aware, 95% of the startups may not succeed. We have to have that statistics in mind. But still, we have to persevere with that. So my sincere, I really hope that our startup community, our younger people, will not give up, even if they fail once or twice. They must continue with their effort. Success will come. And I look forward to the date when we have at least 10 Bikash-type unicorns coming out of Bangladesh.
I'm
Thank you.
sure with all the positive things that are going around, the future is very bright, and we are expecting it to be. I think I will ask my very last question, and with that we will wrap up the panel discussion, and the last question would be to Shishaider sir. During Tanvir's keynote, we have heard about the Fund of Fund, and this has been kind of something that we were really looking forward to, how it's being formed, when it's going to be launched, what are the policies, etc. Will be taking place around the Fund of Fund. So if you can give us an overview of where the Fund of Fund progress is, how soon can we see it, or what are the recent updates on that, sir?
These questions could be comfortably answered by our finance secretary, but unfortunately he's very busy with 3 of the respected advisors today with 5 other secretaries, so he apologized for not attending today's program. But he said something. Before I come to his declaration or his view, I would like to announce that 4 of us, just before entering into this conference venue, inaugurated the $1 million venture investment by INSEFTA, represented by More. So this is one, and this is basically, I don't know whom they basically followed, but we have seen the huge venture investment by the BSRM as well. Concerning the finance division's support to us, last year we have got 100 crore taka support. This year also having the similar commitment from the finance division. But about the fund of fund issues, we know that JICA supported this fund is communicated by us through the economic relations division. And finally, it is at the final stage of the decisions to be declared by the finance secretary, but he has given a very positive indication that this fund of fund is ready, and afterwards the intending investors are allowed to go for applying their intentions to our system immediately after this program is over. The other one is that concerning the financial institution of our country, it is a bank or any other financial institution, it's not that easy on their part to come forward. For that one, the special purpose vehicle is required, which our respected governor sir was saying that yes, under the auspices of the central bank, a special purpose vehicle can be the very big source of this funding for the startups of this country. Thank you.
So this panel is all about good news today. Circulars, Fund of Fund finally coming into light,